Hey y'all, it's Hannah from Half Acre Heart, and today we are going to do a little garden tour. I am in Zone 9A in Florida, and it's kind of an overcast day. It looks like it might even rain. So let's see if we can do this before we get rain. One of the things I'm very excited about is my red silk beans. You can see we're getting some nice pods started. I have a few other plants, 4 other ones, and I might take one of them out. We'll see. This one's pretty bushy at the bottom, but it's growing quite nicely, and I cannot wait to harvest these. There is a wee little bug on here. I don't know if you saw that, it just jumped off. But it's looking really nice, and I've got plenty of little flowers on there, and the next few ones should start reaching out their tendrils soon and climbing, which is going to make this trellis gorgeous. Here is my star of the garden right now, my teddy bear sunflower. It has a few little ants on it, and that's fine. It's got another head opening, and then some other ones down in here. It is like, I've never grown this specific kind of sunflower before, and I am obsessed. Like, it is definitely my favorite. I just planted a few more in this bed. Some of the other sunflowers that I have growing are Mammoth and Skyscraper. So as you can see, they're getting quite tall. This one will probably continue to grow another few feet before it puts out its flower, and it's looking really, really nice. I do have, there's a couple of them, and I didn't label which one was which, that is already putting out its flower. The start of it, at least, it's this one right here. So this one is about the same height, but you can see it is already starting its flower. So it's not going to be quite as tall as what it's supposed to be. They're supposed to get between, I think, 6. One of them is like 6 to 8 feet, and the other one is, I think, 10 to 12. So they're not going to get quite as tall. This one, at least. That's fine. I don't need them to be absolutely massive, especially because I kind of planted a few too many. I've already had to take 2 out. So in this bed I have my slicer tomatoes, except for a couple, which I'll show you. But they are packed with flowers and starting to set fruit. There's one there, tiny one on that one. Whole cluster of buds over there that haven't opened yet. This one is a Black Beauty tomato, so it'll be big, purpley black tomatoes. And then this one is also a Black Beauty, it's just not nearly as big. It did have flowers on it, but I cut them off because it's obviously just, it's not big enough. It's not, I mean, a good slicer tomato is just not going to be able to, you know, support that weight. And then this one, so I had 2 of the Atomic Grape tomatoes over here, and they were just not doing well. I have some other ones that were like 4 times its size, even though they were all started at the same time. So these we actually just got from the hardware store. This is Chocolate Sprinkles cherry tomato that my husband picked out. And so far it's doing pretty well. And then this one is just a Bonnie's Original. Take off that sucker, and I'll probably take off, and it's trying to set some flowers as well. There's no way that's going to be able to put off anything real good. And then over here we have Terracotta Slicing Tomatoes, and you can see it is putting off a bunch of fruit and flowers. A bunch of flowers over here, and this one is a nice size. I'm gonna pull this over to this side. And then this one is also Terracotta Tomato, also plenty of flowers, but I don't think quite as much fruit. It might have like 1 or 2. Actually, I don't think I see any fruit on this one yet, just the flowers. I don't do anything super special for pollination because tomatoes are self-pollinators, but since I have these trellises, when I see a lot of flowers, I just kind of give it a little jiggle, tap it, and it will vibrate the flowers so they can release the pollen. So this I am pretty excited about. This is the Chinese string eggplant, and it's got its first flower, and then this one also has a flower. I don't think you can see. There we go. So I have 3 of these planted. One of them is much smaller than the others, and I've never grown eggplant before, so I kind of don't really know what I'm doing with them. So I've just been letting them do their own thing. I haven't topped them off like I would with my peppers. So I honestly will have to do some Googling on growing this specific type of eggplant, or just eggplant in general. I'm not huge on eggplant. I don't like all the seeds, so that's why I chose these string eggplants. They're long and skinny, about the diameter of like a nickel, and they're supposed to be good raw, sauteed, like all of the above. So I figured I would give it a try because that seems more up my alley. Over here we have some Boston pickling cucumbers, and there are a few that are starting to fruit, just a couple, plenty of flowers, and I have a third one right here that just has not, I had to reseed this one. This one was not doing well, the one that was in its place, so I ripped it out, put a new seed, and this one's doing much better. It's because we had a little cold snap. It's climbing nicely, and then so over here I have my sauce tomatoes. I have raspberry Liana and Amish paste tomatoes, and I did not label them, so I don't know which one is which. I know these 2 are the same type, and then these 2 are the same type. These ones are smaller, and plenty of flowers. I haven't seen a whole lot of fruit set just yet. I think I maybe saw one yesterday, but it's not a huge deal. So, oh, here's one. Here's an itty bitty one. And I haven't made my own sauce before, but I just love that fresh tomato tasting sauce. I don't actually like fresh tomatoes, but I like the fresh tomato sauce taste. So that's why I chose to do this. I want to do new things, make more things for myself and my family. So we just have 4 of them, and if I end up needing to add some of the slicers, it's not a huge deal because the only difference between paste and slicer tomatoes is the water content. So with the slicer tomatoes, it might just mean that I need to cook off a little bit of the water from them first, and that's fine. So I also have right over here a bunch of basil, just kind of interplanted with my tomatoes. 2 over there actually. So I'm greatly looking forward to this. I want to make all the tomato things, tomato sauce, salsa, ketchup, all the things. And over in this corner, it's my squash and zucchini. So you can see I'm getting flowers. It looks like so far just the male. Typically a squash plant puts out its male flowers first and then the female flowers. You'll still get a mixture of both male and female later down the line, but the first ones are typically the male, and that's fine. It just means that these first flowers obviously are not going to produce your fruit. And this white stuff on it is just lime. We had some ants all around, so you'll see white powder sprinkled all over, and that's all it is. And then over here, this is a scallop squash or patty pan, whatever you want to call it. And then this one is just a yellow squash. So I only have 4 squash/zucchini plants because I'm not huge on squash and zucchini, but typically they're pretty prolific producers. So I do have a couple recipes that I really like that I will make using both squash and zucchini. And this should produce plenty for what I like. And then the only other things that we have in the bed besides cucumbers over there are flowers and a couple herbs. We have zinnia, marigolds. These 2 marigolds haven't put out any buds yet, but my other ones, which I'll show you, are going crazy. We've got some parsley and then some chives, which when we got this at the nursery, because I did not start these from seed, my daughter, my youngest one, who's 10 months old, she was sitting in the front of the cart and she kept reaching back and grabbing it and then eating it. Like, it's just, she likes everything, and she just loved the chives. And then we have some nasturtium and some alyssum over there. So some great pollinators. The alyssum is just doing so well. I've had to pull out a bunch of them. I've started too many, and it will just take over if you let it. So I had to thin that out quite a bit. Over here we have my Brad's Atomic Grape tomato plants. I've got 3 of them. These ones are just absolutely thriving. You can see we have 2 nice size so far. I mean, they're not pickable just yet. When this one is probably double that size, it'll be ready. But there's just flowers all over, plenty of fruit starting to set, and I am quite excited for my husband to try these because he likes snacking on cucumbers. He likes snacking on tomatoes. This is a tomato plant. And looks like we will have plenty. My youngest daughter also loves tomatoes. In fact, she's inside eating some tomatoes right now with her lunch. And then behind it, this is my monster marigold plant. This tall one is 1 plant. And then it has 2 next to it that were started at the same time that, as you can see, are nowhere near as big. And it's just putting off so many gorgeous blooms. So right here is my arugula plant, which has bolted, obviously. It bolted and it's gone to seed, and you can see it has a bunch of these seed pods all over. It has, it'll produce a flower, and then it'll turn into a pod, and it just continues to go up and up. I mean, this one is probably 3 feet tall. But these seed pods right here are starting to yellow. They will turn brown eventually, and that's when they're ready to pick off and save the seeds. So I am going to save some of the seeds, but then I'm also just going to let it reseed in this little grow bag. I don't have anything else to plant in it, so I figured why not? We'll just let it come back on its own when it's cool enough, because right now it's just too hot for the arugula. I mean, it bolted a while ago, like a good month and a half ago. So once it gets cooler again, then we should be getting some more arugula, because I love arugula. My lettuce is in another bed and it's getting shade. It probably should have bolted at the same time, but it was younger and gets the shade, so it gets a little bit of a cooler temperature where it is. Now I'm not anticipating that lasting very long, but that's fine. So I just think these are so cool. In fact, I'm going to pick one off so I can show you. Looks like on the inside. I'm gonna put this down real quick. All right, so you have your little seed pod. This one obviously is not actually ready to pick off and save the seeds, but you just split it open. This one's not being very cooperative. Probably because this one actually is a lot more tender than some of the other ones that I picked off just to like explore. But it splits into 2 halves, and then you have, let's see if I can get it to focus. I don't know if you can really see, but you have all the little seeds in there. They're green, kind of translucent. So obviously this one is not ready. And that's just 1 half. There's like a very thin layer in the middle that separates the other half. They're all falling out. But yeah, at this stage it's not really ready to pick and to save. It even smells like arugula still. So you want to wait until they're bigger and they start to turn brown on their own, dry out, all that. And once they're completely dry, you can pop it open and save the seeds from the inside and use for next year. These are my beets. I'm actually going to go ahead and pull. Ooh, good size. I'm going to take this one too. This one's not going to be big, I know that. Yeah, this This one's just a wee one, but it's just getting too hot for them, so they're not going to be thriving. I'd rather go ahead and get them out of the ground. So I can use the greens too. Beet greens are really good. In fact, when you tear them open, you will, well, this one's not that, it's kind of dry in the middle right now, but you'll still like stain your hands all the way up the stalk. So, what's this one look like? Yep, little, but I have more beets inside that I can add. We'll do some roast beets. Maybe some sauteed beet greens. Yeah, this one's basically nothing, it's kind of carrot shaped. And then this guy will go ahead and pull out. And then I'll have about 2 square feet and plant something else. Yeah. So these 2 smaller ones I'll probably just feed to the ducks. They love beet greens and beetroot. Put those in here. Over to the ducks. Ducks. They are probably under the house. Yep, under the house. There you go, guys. Here, this bed is all flowers except for right here we have the Kajari melons again. So we have my very first dahlia buds. There's 3 on there. Zinnia, more sunflowers. And then my celosia. So it was supposed to be a mix of all different colors, and so far the only flowers that I'm getting are this hot pink to red, which is fine. And some of them I did pick off the flower, some of them I'm not. I'm just gonna see, you know, because they say that you can pinch them off like peppers and you'll get more blooms throughout the summer. So we will see, but I just think celosia is just so cool. This is a coxcomb variety. You can see why they call it that. Also, over here we have my first tiny little zinnia blooms started, which I'll probably pick off just to help it produce a little bit more. They're cut and come again, so it's not really a huge deal to take off a few. But then over here, as you can see, my banana pepper plants are very happy. And I'm just actually gonna take these ones off. It's got a bunch of, this one's a little thick, has a bunch of new little buds up here. So I'm gonna take these lower ones off. If they're a little on the green side, it's not a huge deal. It just tastes more green. Geez, these stems are that big. So we have 1, 2. So not really that much to really make anything with. Like I can do a quick, what I normally use these for is I pickle them. They're normally done within like 4 to 7 days. Because I mean, I don't think they need to be pickled for all that long to be usable. And I put them on like pasta with meat sauce. So good. So I'll probably cut these up and do that with them. Whew, dropped them. And make that meal here in a few days. It's warm. Then we have some French breakfast radishes, which some of them, this one and this one, getting to a pretty good size. Some of the other ones are kind of small. I might end up having to go ahead and harvest them early. They're getting a little bit of yellowing on the leaves, and I'm not sure if it's because it's getting too hot for them, or we did get a bit of rain the other day. I don't know if they got too much rain. So I'm gonna leave them for another couple days, and hopefully more of them will be to size for them. And the other thing that I'm super excited about is my strawberry plant. We probably got about a dozen flowers on here that have started fruit, and should be done another like 7 to 10 days. They'll be edible. We've gotten a couple so far, just 2, and they were so stinking good. Like the best strawberries ever. Thank you so much for joining me on my little garden tour. I had so much fun, and I got my first little harvest with you guys. You got to see it firsthand. So make sure that you like this video, subscribe, and then follow me on Instagram at Half Acre Heart. You can get kind of daily updates and tidbits of just the daily workings of my garden, and the ducks, of course, who are hiding right now because it's too hot. It's hot and it's gonna rain. Welcome to Florida. But I will see you guys next time. Bye.